Just copy this on so I can test out whether the microphone's working or not. Scott was around today?
Hmm?
Oh yeah, he's online.
He's coming in.
Oh, I didn't know if he
So it's
still
probably
was
I
feeling
think it was stomach related, and he said like he was just really tired.
Yeah. Alright, mic's working. Muting.
do they email the webmaster at CDO?
They don't really know that exists. It was never
They don't,
advertised
okay.
very well, and they could, but I think if there were a form, it would probably work better for everybody, especially if they had some kind of, process for project management, like slate things by priority. But I don't
There
have
might be
anything.
someone too that has one that they could like show. That'd be a good
Yeah.
question for community of practice.
What is community?
There's a group that meets on campus, and it's not WiscWeb specific. It's more like WordPress and UW theme, where they share ideas for building out your site. You can show off what you've done, get feedback, ask if people have ever tried something, if you have
That sounds great.
content strategy and
How
stuff.
do I get in on that?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, WiscWeb,
www.
and then under support,
There we
it's
go.
the last item.
Okay. All right, the audio's going.
Yeah, we typically meet monthly.
We are up.
Big mailing lists.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. The delay on the stream is mighty, so you were going to have heard Jenna talking for a little bit there as I was getting things prepped. So good afternoon. My name is Matt Goins. For those of you who don't know who I am, and this is our December brown bag. We have a few things on the agenda. The big topic, of course, will be the chat about the Enhanced Media Library plugin, but we'll get to that when we get to that. First things first, I wanted to touch base a little bit on the upcoming Open Lab schedule, and I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of that, and I will send out another message about this next week. But we have 3 Open Labs on the docket for next week. Mainly because it's the week before break, and or I shouldn't say break, but the week before holidays come, and I wanted to make sure that we were as available as we could be during that time frame for any things that we could help people with before everybody departs for vacations. But the problem is that B207 over at CompSci, which is where we usually have our open labs, that room is being used for some technology training by other members of Do It. So we are going to move the open labs again over to the DeLuca Biochemistry Building, which is right over there on Henry Mall at 420 Henry Mall. And it's in that basement computer lab, B1144A. I haven't been over there in a while, so I'm hoping that this is going to work. They're supposed to be doing some renovation over there as well. So this might be a fun, we're all going to stand in a hallway with each other kind of thing. But that's where we're going to move it for next week. We have 3 on the docket for next week. So I wanted to make sure I talked a little bit about that. Also, I've gotten a few questions in about trainings. I don't have any training scheduled throughout the rest of the year, mainly because we have a lot of things on our plate right now, and we're trying to get some other stuff squared away. So I just wanted to dedicate the time to that rather than to try and schedule trainings and things like that. Hi, Kelly.
We are not going to meet on Christmas Day.
Okay.
COP.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, we are changing it fell on Christmas Day. We're going to meet this coming Wednesday, and Rich is going to send an email to the community practice.
This coming Wednesday, as in next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
All right. Why don't we just go ahead and edit this here event?
It's a great.
I just learned about it.
It's a great meeting. Yeah.
Oh, great meeting.
It's a great meeting.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's great. So people get to see now me do some behind the scenes stuff.
And it's just that one. Otherwise, we're staying on the last Wednesday of the month.
Okay. Once I see Rich's email come out, I will add the new event into here just for information sake.
Can you add what time it will be?
I
what day
I
it will
can't
be?
because this is the recurring event, so I can't edit that one specific event. Yeah, I know. So
Can you cancel an occurrence and create a symbol?
Can you add some text in there that says blah, 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 blah?
I could.
Can you fix me a sandwich
I
while
can
you're
do
at
many
it?
things, Kelly. None of which you're asking me at the moment, though.
Many skills.
Many
The
skills.
people who wanna come to this meeting are
Yeah.
gonna get that email. so
We'll
don't
update.
worry.
We'll update it. And
Yeah.
again, for those of you who are, where do we have the community of practice?
It's under
There it is.
support.
Under support and under community of practice, for those of you who are interested, there is a WordPress community of practice group that meets monthly, and this is how you can join their email list. And it's essentially just a group of WordPress users. A number of them are WiscWeb users as well. So it's a nice spot for you to commune.
It's a nice spot for very beginners.
Yep.
And long-term users.
Yep.
It's a great place for both of those.
Yeah, and it's good for inspiration. It's good for questions. It's good for general information. It is. There are a lot of long time WiscWeb users in that group, and now long time, meaning as long as we've had it, WordPress users in that group as well. So. Speaking of support, I guess that would be the next topic du jour, which is over break. Obviously, a number of us are going to be on vacation as well. Jenna and I have been chatting about what we want to do in regards to the support queue. Tickets will still come in. Jenna and I are going to basically try and watch the queue as best we can during the 2-week span there between Christmas and New Year's. We'll try to answer things as best we can during that time frame. If it's not site breaking, we will likely table it until we return. If it is something that is site breaking, we'll probably have to chat with each other to figure out how we can go about getting things fixed. We do have things in place in case there are any service outages. We do work with Duets. I don't really know what to call them. The outages group.
Operations.
Yeah, the operations group. We work with them to make sure that we address anything that comes up as fast as we can. Usually you guys let us know immediately as well, so that will likely happen again over those couple of weeks there. So.
Yeah, the only other thing I want to mention is I highly recommend contacting the help desk if there's an outage during break.
Yeah.
They actually will work with the technicians they're not exactly on call, but there's a list of people that they'll work through to make sure that everything's up and running. It's kind of like outage process.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead.
Help desk is handling your level 1 now?
Not yet.
Not quite yet.
That's
Yeah.
supposed to start after the new year as well. We have trained them, trained in as much as we have showed them some of the basics, but really that's all we need them to handle. We need them to really just handle some of the easy general things that are coming in, and quite frankly, that's basically I need to add users to my site. By the way, all of you who are listening on the stream, you can add your own users to the site. They have to log in first to create their account, but then once they're logged in, you won't get that user not found message. So.
It's a what? It's a KB, I think.
It is a announcement. It is a.
I've heard about it.
It is a KB. Let's introduce you all to the KB.
Who searches the KB?
Who
I
searches?
know, right?
It is the
We
most.
only know about the KB in a response.
Yeah,
That's
You
right.
really do this,
That's
and
right.
there's a KB about it.
Yeah. So yeah. So just so you're all aware.
Need an email bot.
It's,
It just does it.
I just have it copied and pasted. Just copy paste. So yeah, so it is the first article in our frequently visited documents there, adding users to your site. The key thing is the user you're adding must have logged in once in order for the system to register their credentials. We joke about it, but this really is like the primary question Jenna and I get on a regular basis. So it's pretty easy to fix. there. Let's see, what else was on there?
Can you go back to that for just 1 minute? What's it mean, have them log in from a private browsing window? Wouldn't I just open a new tab?
You could, but if you were logged into like a service account
Yeah,
and not your primary like personal account,
Oh, log
Yeah.
in with my net.
yes, your
do
net ID,
that
yes,
if
your
I'm
net ID
logged
at
in
WiscWeb.
it
with
just
my net
ensures
ID.
that it's
Yeah.
actually connecting to your
Yeah.
personal
Oh.
account rather than like a service. 9 times out of 10, that's probably what you're
Most of
logged
us are
into.
already logged
But
in,
every
right.
now and then we
Yeah.
have someone that's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you can create WiscWeb accounts for service accounts?
somewhat. It can
Boy,
be
that's
tricky adding
Yeah,
them
it's
as a user.
yeah. The problem, yeah. I mean, the issue there is that there's some work that has to be done with the service account, so that it has web credentials essentially.
So it breaks.
Yeah, because technically the service account is not an individual,
Right.
and when you log into WiscWeb, you don't get the opportunity to choose the account like you do in like email. It takes that account and takes you right into WordPress essentially. So yeah, and we try not to do it mainly because of the fact that it does create a little bit of an issue with the whole login process in general. Streaming folks, if you have questions, please ask them in the chat. I'll try to get them to them as I go through this process. The other brief topic that we wanted to chat about coming up next month, we will be issuing another UW theme update. I think it's January 9th, I believe it was. So January 9th is tentatively going to be our next UW theme update. We don't have all of the details yet as of what's going to be going into it. There are a few things that we're hoping we're going to put in that are going to be some nice quality of life things for a number of you. In regards to some of the various tools you use, there's some faculty staff list stuff that we're looking at trying to get into there. Again, I can't remember because we haven't had the actual full conversation of what's going in yet for the changelog. But I know that marketing is working on some things. Our devs are going to be taking a few swings at some things over this week and next week to try and put in some of our wish list items, some things that we've been looking at doing for a while now, and try to get a couple of those things in.
Which a couple of them were actually like directly from customers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch on that with just to let you know it is coming. We didn't do one this month mainly because of the fact that it's a short month in regards to staffing. There is a change freeze that goes into effect during December because of finals. So we can't make any updates in that time frame as well. So that's it for that one. So let's move on to the meat of the conversation, which is the enhanced media library issue. So, for those of you who are not aware of what Enhanced Media Library Pro is, it is a plugin that we had picked up from the very beginning of us moving from the old content management system, which is OpenText, and moving into WordPress. One of the things that the old OpenText had was the ability to use folders to separate out media. WordPress does not do that. So we picked up this plugin that allows you to categorize your content to allow you to create essentially virtual folders within your media library. We didn't really have any plugin criteria back when we picked this up, so it is not made by a specific, I guess, WordPress company essentially. So what's happened is the plugin itself has not been updated for over a year, and because it hasn't been updated for over a year, and WordPress core continuously updates, the plugin has fallen more and more out of version with what our current version of WordPress is, to the extent that with our last update to WordPress core, which was 5.3, which was 3-ish weeks ago, yeah, something of that nature, it broke Enhanced Media Library Pro completely in the fact that you don't have the ability when you are on page to actually upload items as you are building out those pages. And I'll see if I can recreate it so that you folks can see what that is.
I thought the plugin made it so that people who had the plugin could create folders and then open that folder. So you're saying it's that thing over there on the right where I've said, oh, this is a newsletter, oh, this is
Yep, it's that.
that's
Well,
what
it depends on where you're at, though. So, like for Enhanced Media Library Pro, it has entirely to do with anything that exists within the media library. If you're in posts or something of that nature, and it's like your categories for the post itself, that's not it. That's basic Word. Excuse me. That's basic WordPress core functionality.
Okay.
And I'll demo that here just so you can see the differences between the two. So Twizzlers are tasty. I think I did this once in an open lab. I built this one out specifically because Twizzlers, quite frankly, are tasty. So scrolling on down. So this is what you're thinking about, I think, Kelly, which is these categories that are over here on the right side there. So you can choose like which one these are. This is unique to, or not unique to, this is specific to WordPress functionality in general, which is this is how you get things to show up in certain areas, such as what your example, newsletters. You have your newsletters section. Anything that you post there that has the categories for newsletters, this is in post or in event or something of that nature. So with Media Library, what happened was this happened where this area is no longer populated because the plugin is no longer working for that. And also you can't upload by dragging and dropping through here either. It shows you that you get the status bar, but the upload never finishes. It just goes to full status bar and then stays at full status bar. So as people have been communicating with me, I have told them they can go to their
Can
media.
you stay on that page
Well,
for just a minute?
I sure can
Sorry.
go back to it. That's okay.
Because I've been creating a lot of new pages in the newsletter, and
Yeah.
I have the two windows open. I upload them in the media, and then I create the page, and I am able to. I'm not able to upload them from the page, but they're right there. But it didn't look like yours was available when you click Add Media down there.
But are they already here when you're looking?
Yeah, I've already added them here.
Yeah, so that's working fine.
Oh, okay.
That part. So that's what the segue
That's the
where I was going with that,
I see.
which is when you upload it first to the media library, it works.
Yeah.
It goes here, then you can go to Add Media and click on it and add it from that standpoint as well. The other thing is the media categories populate this value over here on the right, which is I think the other thing.
That's what I was
yeah,
wondering.
okay.
Is that what's
Yep.
going away?
This is going away.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
I mean,
But again, this is part of the conversation of making
Yeah.
sure that everybody's all on the same page,
Yeah.
which is the fact that this value that's over here on the right side is going away because that plugin specifically is going away. So that's where we're at.
Okay, because in the email when you use the word folder.
Yeah,
mine
it's
was
virtual
featuring a
folders. Yeah, no,
folder.
it's the
And I'm
virtual
like,
folder
these
idea.
big sites
Yep.
have created folders right there.
Yeah, and I mean,
Ah.
we've heard from a number of you, which I'll chat about that in a second here, but we're aware of this being used at all sizes of sites
Oh,
now.
I use that all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I mean, we've got all of our big major sites that use them, and then we've got departmental and program sites that use
Yeah.
them as well, which are smaller, but no less affected by the fact that we're going to have to remove this plugin. So we are going to be removing this plugin on Monday. We wanted to make sure we gave enough of a time frame for people to consume this information, as well as we wanted to have this opportunity to chat with everybody because of the fact that we are going to be looking, because of the fact that when we sent out that message, we heard back from a number of people. We are looking at other options. I'm not going to say we are going to look at replacing it. We are going to look at options potentially for replacing it. I can't read that right now while I'm talking. But one of the things that as people have been communicating back with us saying, oh, it's a significant loss for them, we've asked if you have any ideas. We don't know all the plugins that exist out there. It's not in our ability to maintain all that. But if people are familiar with or are aware of some of those plugins that might fill this need, we want to hear from you on them. Jenna created this spreadsheet right here, And these are just some of the options that we are aware of. So this is an us spreadsheet, but I wanted to share it with you just because of the fact that I want you to see what we are doing. So we have some criteria that we look at whenever we look at any plugins. And we have this matrix, and we're going to take a look at these things and create some notes on it. And we're going to take a look at whether or not we can find something that will meet the needs that we have and the needs that our user base has to try and assist with this problem. The biggest criteria that we have really is we don't want this to be a one-off developer who's just doing this because he wanted to make something and put it out there, because there's no guarantee that it's going to be updated. There's no guarantee about security. We look for things that have high usage, that have a sort of quote-unquote company behind it that is a vendor of this plugin. So we're looking for that type of stuff there. So again, you can kind of look at what our matrix is up here, and we're looking at things and we're trying to figure stuff out as we are moving forward this. But at the end of the day, we can't leave it up. We have to take it down because it has broken the ad media function for our user base. So we will be removing
it's
it.
been abandoned.
Well, I mean, yeah, because of all of the various reasons, we have to remove it. You have to be aware of that fact.
And
Well,
I
there's
think
not a lot of good information. I mean, it doesn't look good there.
so this
I'll
is
let
just the
Jenna,
preliminary information that I look at, like that we can very easily look at from the plugin. And then if we were to see like, okay, this looks like a decent plugin, we feel comfortable, then we would probably like download and do some testing locally. But the issues that these have been denied on, like the first one looked pretty good, but it has the same issue where it only has one developer, and that's kind of risky. We don't want to get into another situation where it's just one developer and then is abandoned. The second one, Firebird, is a pretty common one, but it's not even compatible with the latest version either. So that's a pretty clear no. But if you guys find any that you want us to test out, please let us know. Do you have one?
No.
Oh.
I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a best practice, isn't it better to make sure that the metadata that you attach to media is really robust? That's good for SEO, that's good for indexing and so forth. And then also you can use the search functionality within WordPress to find things.
Yeah.
And so if you have a label like headshot, and you make sure that every headshot has a tag on it or something like that that says headshot in it in the description, then you can find it by just typing headshot into your media library.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and it's sort of the workaround that
Yeah.
you should always be doing that. Like the file names should always be descriptive, so that you can easily search for them and it has proper metadata. But I think it's sort of a training opportunity. It's a new thing.
And once they're uploaded, there's not, the best way to rename it isn't in here, is it? If I remember.
Rename it
correctly.
how?
If I want to rename,
Well,
one of your things, this is not the place to be renaming it.
Well,
if I remember
this
correctly.
file name is attached to it regardless.
Yeah.
What I usually encourage people to do is the moment that you upload a new item to your media library, you do two things right away. The first thing is give it a proper title, which plays into what David's saying, which is it starts to create that metadata of you being able to search for it. But then also the second thing is the alt text. Everything else can come after the fact. But these two things are the easiest things to do right away to start to help with that sort of search functionality.
So if I type in the search,
Yeah,
and I type in anything from the title, it's gonna pull up
Yep.
those. Okay.
Yep.
And even if I didn't have Bucky in the title, if I have Bucky in the
Yeah.
name of the file, it's coming up. Okay.
Yep. So like here, you can see this file name is not anything, but the title is Matt and Caden.
So when you
Steve
uploaded
Butler.
it was that crazy number thing.
Yep, and it still is that crazy number thing. That in the database, that is what the file name is. But because I'm starting to add some of this metadata to it, it starts to create this ability for me to now find it a little bit easier. For some sites, that's going to work great because of the fact that they only have dozens, 100, whatever it might be, of media items. That gets a little more complicated the more stuff you put into it. We do have some sites that have thousands of items in their media library. So even then, the metadata isn't always going to be the easiest thing because you might have, syllabus X, syllabus Y, syllabus Z, syllabus X 2019, syllabus Y 2019, syllabus Z 2017. So it's even then you start to populate it more, and that's a grander conversation for using Box over WordPress as sort of like your file repository, using Box instead of that for like Word documents, PDFs, and Excel files and things of that nature. We've had this conversation before.
Well, you know I'm getting ready to
I know. I saw your eyes like start to go, what? And I'm like, no, you and we've chatted about this before.
Sure.
Yeah. But even then, though, it's still, we're aware of the fact that it can become overwhelming, and so that's why this was an option that was chosen originally. It's now an option that is no longer valid. So now we're looking at other criteria that we can try and find another option potentially. So
So
go ahead.
when that plugin is deactivated,
Yep.
what types of things will change from the top?
This value here will be gone. These values over here will be gone. The media categories over here will be gone. Content itself doesn't leave. The images stay there. But the data that you applied to them via media categories will be gone.
Okay, so that meta that was driving those categories.
So these
will be
things here,
gone.
yeah. So all
Not
this,
attached to the
yeah, all the
file.
stuff that's in, all the stuff that would be in here is gone. The media within, the metadata within the media itself,
Right, that's
the title, the caption, the alt text, the description, that all is a part of WordPress core. That all is functionality that will stay there. So. Yes. Hello Media work once you uninstall the media library. So from the stream, how will media work once the plugin's gone? It will work similarly to what you have already done in the past, which is when you upload here, you will still have these options here, which is title, cap, etc. You still want to populate these things when you go to a particular page or post. And you click on add media here, again, this will be gone. This will now work. So this will come back to that whole drag and drop or click on add a new file or click on I can't remember, select file or something. I can't remember what the exact button value is. So that's what it's going to look like Monday.
Can you click on media library and click on an image, not a PDF from here?
So go to add media.
Yeah.
Click on a PDF.
Not a PDF.
Not a PDF. Okay.
See over there. Media categories gone.
Gone.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And just another little plug since we're here. Please, 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 oh please, when you are uploading images, make sure that you remember to apply alt text to your images. It's still the one thing that I see in Open Labs when people are sitting next to me, they'll put images on pages and just blow right by the alt text field. So please use the alt text field. It is important for accessibility.
There was also a question about WiscList.
WiscList.
So we do not maintain WiscList as WiscWeb, but my understanding is that it has been delayed. I don't know if there's been a date chosen for when.
Oh, the WiscList conversion. Oh, the decommission and then
or
the
sunsetting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't think there was a date.
Nope.
Decided yet.
So WiscList was supposed to be decommissioned, sunsetted at some point this fall. I think by now, I think it was supposed to be gone. So I was going to start to look at moving us into Google Groups or into Office 365 groups. That's still something that I need to look at mainly from other standpoints of real-time support and things like that. But because it is not sunsetted yet, I have left us on WiscList because, quite frankly, it is already populated with all of your lovely email addresses, and it works-ish when it works. So I have looked at replacing it with an Office 365 group because I was trying to look at ways to sort of build on the idea of the community of practice. If there was a team, a Microsoft team area for the community of practice group for WiscWeb in general, um, some of those things could be the ability for all of you to support each other rather than trying to wait for me or Jenna to get back in touch with you. Also, it would be a way for me to present things to a group on a sort of like a, hey, everybody, this question came in. If you're in the room, let's go ahead and take a look at this so I can sort of answer it, kind of thing. So there's some benefits to doing this through Office 365 and through Microsoft Teams, but I just haven't looked into it enough because WiscList is still here, so I haven't had the prompting to do it a little more. So I guess we don't have any answers because that's in a different group than us, so we don't really get much information past what everybody else gets. It's still here. There is no date for it to be sunset, so we're sticking with it. Yes, Linda, I'm aware that you use the categories a lot. And yes, your response is what our response was when we first discovered it. So we're aware of the effect of what this is going to have on a lot of our users. We just can't get around it. It has to go. It is breaking the system. So that's really it for the conversation. We'll get in touch with everybody again about this once we come back after the new year and we have a chance to look at any other options that come in and whether or not we actually take a look at any of these to try them out. So we'll get back to this hopefully sooner rather than later, but as you can see, this is our criteria. So any questions from the gallery? The streaming gallery as well, please ask your questions. I'm trying to think of any other things that are going on that we would want to update folks on.
Let's look at our news.
Yeah, look at stuff.
I
Scott,
think that's most of
how
it.
you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good. Phil,
Yes, sir.
anything from your end? Performance, things of that nature? Phil's been exceptionally busy with other aspects of our AWS and our SL2, our service level 2 stuff. So he hasn't, it's not that he hasn't been around, but he has been very busy with other WordPress stuff going on here on campus. So anything from your neck of the woods that you'd want to touch on performance-wise?
Just that we're still making a few things to make stuff better.
Yeah.
No biggie. Sorry.
Yeah, we're still working on stuff. The performance thing, it's not like we hit a spot where we were happy with it and we are done looking at it.
No.
We're content, I guess, at the moment because it is moving as expected. We are still looking at a few other options to do things with where stuff is stored on AWS so that we can hopefully improve performance that way. There are a number of things that happen internally from a standpoint of how fast we can deploy things. Scott has been exceptionally helpful in that realm with some of the things he's done for Jenna and I in regards to new site creation and site launching. It's a faster process. It's a much faster process now that Scott's automated a lot of that stuff. So snaps for Scott. Sorry, we need these moments of loopiness for sanity's sake. But that's an ongoing process. We have some new, we refer to their titles are site reliability engineers. We have a couple of new folks. I guess we should invite Jason to one of these just so he can be introduced to the group at large. But we have a number of people who look at things from the server standpoint and from the AWS standpoint to try and improve performance on a regular basis. Those things are never seen by you guys because of the fact that it all happens internally and there's not much that we can say that isn't exceptionally technical that we don't want to burden everybody's information with. But you know, when something big happens, we'll make sure that we communicate that stuff out. I know we're still talking about moving things to SSD or solid state drive, the plugins?
Plugins and themes.
Plugins and themes, which is, so how that would work would be basically it's a faster load time for those things to be pulled from the server rather than, rather than those things being pulled from the web, they're being pulled from an actual drive that will happen on a much faster processing speed, which would make things hopefully again load faster.
Yep. Well, that's what our testing showed. The speed actual difference for the disk is something like 10 to 100 times faster. Doesn't mean the page load actually happens 10 to 100 times faster, but you know, plugins are a lot of stuff, and so are themes. So,
so again, a lot.
You can make go faster.
Yeah. So again, that's kind of the thing is that there is never a definitive answer of make things go fast. There is only we continue to poke at things as we can to make them try to go faster.
I searched the KBU before answering.
Oh, good.
There doesn't seem to be a way to add a byline to a post for like a news update.
Yeah.
Is that something that you could explore plugins for?
I don't know if that's something plugins. We might want to look at that theme specifically rather than plugin specifically, because by bylines it's always going to default to the person who creates the post, and oftentimes the person that is creating the post is not the actual author of said article that is being delivered to them. And so that's one of the things that I think we talked about many moons ago, but again, it not being at that time a priority, it got bumped down the list of many things there. But I look at Scott because he's one of our devs.
In a situation where the folks that are actually the author are members or like users in WordPress too, or is it just like you're trying to attribute it to an author that doesn't exist in WordPress? Okay. So I was gonna say you can change the author, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't help if it's someone that is
not a
a
user.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, if there were a byline field where you could actually type in the byline.
Yeah. And that's something that we can add to the list and bring up with you, Mark, and see what they think about that.
I believe it exists because I think UCOM for the news.wisc has bylines.
Okay, I know UCOM probably doesn't use just base UW theme,
Yeah,
though.
no,
I would
it's
imagine that that's pretty heavily customized for what they needed to.
Yep.
Sure. That makes sense.
It looks, but it is not. UW
All the more reason, hey, y'all added it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Well, if you know that
that's
it's a solved problem somewhere.
That's that's something to look at. We can add that into our wish list and see if we can throw something at that as well. To just add something similar up here, like a screen options for byline or something like that, and add that as one of the things that we could add down in here. So.
Kind of similar to Newslink.
Well, Newslink, you know, we've done some of that customizations with the faculty staff posts. They have we added the credentials field rather than just you trying to put all that information into the name field. We actually created the credentials field that allowed for some of that stuff. Something that we can look at with posts specifically is trying to add that an additional field for byline, other information.
And then taking that one step further, having those things tagged as a byline for an individual, then showing up on their faculty and staff page.
Yeah.
You know, just as a link.
That's
with
an interesting.
The articles that are attributed to them. Rather than you copying and pasting and.
Scott, make a note, please. Actually, because that is a very good idea too. That kind of plays into what the publication plugin does.
Yeah.
I like the idea.
Sounds great.
The developers might not like that idea.
Create a sprint. And
that's right.
That's how.
Make a sprint.
Just make an issue.
Make it so.
And since we have a little time,
we do have
resurface
time. No, go ahead.
a question I asked before we got started, and maybe it's for the assembled group broadly. I'm looking to build out my internal processes for task management and getting useful information from people who need updates to the sites that I manage. So they'll say, hey, they'll just be not specific sometimes in their emails, and so like, can you give me a link or tell me specifically what page you're on or something like that. So my thought is to create a form that they fill out, but I would like some kind of template for that because I don't know the full universe of things that people can have problems with or questions about or want updates to. So categorizing and making it simple and clear is important. And then, do any of you have task management, internal systems or processes, software, anything like that that you use for when something comes in, assigning a priority and who does it?
Yeah. And we, of course, said, that's a great question for the community of practice. So to go
Some
back,
of whom are assembled here.
yeah, so to go back, for those of you, I guess, for those of you who are listening, what Dave's question was, is, if you have something that you could use as a template within your own site.
A template, I didn't fully understand the question, therefore I can't really answer it one way or the other.
Well, I will, yeah, let me bounce out real quick, because I'll try and phrase it as I see it. So I think what he's looking to do is to create a form on the site that
A gravity form?
yes, that he can, so that he can direct people to
Yeah.
fill out as part of a workflow process on his end, where to ask for certain information within that form. When he receives that form, he can see what information is in there and then properly address it as necessary with either by himself or assigning it to someone who would then be responsible for said update. And so if anybody had a particular form that they already used to sort of manage that type of thing there.
We do. We have the, that's what the lovely thing about gravity forms is that if one of my fields, for example, we have a concerns and problem form, super simple, a gravity form. If someone, and one of the required fields is, is this a concern at this field station or this field station A or B? If they click A, that information goes to field station A people who need to get it. If they click B, it goes over here.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to create a field, and it doesn't have, it's just that simple, because I'm getting ready to do it again so that I'm bringing you with me, but I'm not going to stay at the field station, but I give those folks your name and email. As soon as I put your email in there, I'm now going to create this thing in the background that says, if this field gets populated, send that person this email. Like, send you this type of email with this information in it, and I'm the one who gets to say what the information is.
So what Kelly is talking about is she uses within the notifications area, when she creates notifications, she bases her notifications upon conditional logic of fields that she has used within the form itself. So for example, if you use a radio button list and you're asking, what area does this update need to occur in? If it's undergraduate, it goes to undergraduate coordinator. If it's graduate, it goes to graduate coordinator. If it's site related, it comes to you because you're managing the website whole. So you can use some of that stuff to build out some of that flow, because then you could basically say, I don't need to see it. If they have chosen this, it goes to that person. You could add yourself as well.
I was going to say, I will say that we did have at the community of practice, someone said, my concern is their question never gets addressed.
Yeah,
and they were in the position where it would fall back on them.
Yep.
And so they CC'd themselves so that they could follow up, just track it. But if you don't need it, if you don't need to be in that circle, you don't consider it yourself.
Is that something that you added to the footer where it says, for questions about accessibility or other problems, please contact email?
No, as soon as if you said for questions about accessibility, if that was one of my options, do I have a question about grab? Do I have a question about?
Do you know where is your format, Kelly?
Let's walk through where would they go to find one of these example forms?
Yeah, where is, like, on your limnology site, where is the form?
Oh, Trout Lake Station. Oh, about, go to about.
Okay.
And about the CFL. Scroll down to code of conduct. This is the fastest. Click in there. and CFL concerns, problems, that report.
And so,
A Center for Fund Knowledge.
so this form gets filled out. If it's the Hassel Lab, it's going to go to, and she specifies
And I tell
in
them who
there.
it goes to, yeah.
Or if it's to this, it goes to X. So the moment it clicks, whoever clicks submit, she has it set up that the notification will CC her on it, but
It won't, but nonetheless.
it CCs the
It CCs no one.
Oh, I thought you
Because
had it
this could be
CCing
coming
the
from a
service
fac-
account.
From a staff member.
Sure.
It goes directly to, it's very
Got it.
confidential information.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This form can be anonymous, so the only person who gets it is that, for example, Gretchen, and she still isn't gonna know who submitted it,
Mm-hmm.
if they don't want to be known.
No.
But yeah, that's how that
So-
happens.
Yeah.
But it could be CC'd to me.
Right, you could CC, and I think there were some options for being able to retain the emails inside of WordPress also, right? Like, so there's a couple of
Yeah,
options
this
you can
seems
do, so you
broader
can see the whole
than
list.
what I was looking for too, is more specific to website issues, like this link doesn't work.
Mm.
Oh,
something
can
like
you go
that
to
where
the
I
404
don't
error
know.
page? I've created a gravity form for that too, 'cause I loved it. Because when someone hits my 404 error page, I do not
there you
want
go.
them to wonder, I wanna know, why did you hit this page? And let me tell you, I did not create all this, I've seen it. Like I'm saying, this wasn't my idea.
So you could make that a link. So you can't edit this. This
Right.
is as it is. But you could add a link down here that says, errors
Yeah, that
Question
just
mark?
goes to a gravity form.
that
and
goes
sends
to
out.
this kind of page right
Problem
here.
with this page.
Yep. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. But I also wanted it on this 404 error page, and I have had people use it.
Yeah.
I love
Can
it.
Gravity Forms grab the page?
No,
on the previous-
unfortunately not. I don't think there is a.
You can't have a refer.
Yeah, I don't think it has a refer functionality. And we've had.
Sure.
Well,
It sounds like a thing, right? As soon as you said it, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, sounds like a thing.
Well, Phil's gonna Google. He's gonna practice his
I'm gonna
Google.
go use the Google.
I haven't seen it, so to the extent of my knowledge of gravity forms, there is not an ability to pull a refer from it. But we've had it from the other end of that. We've had that conversation from the other end of the spectrum, which is when something gets filled out and submitted, and if that submission sends you to another page, can that page be populated based on the information that was filled out on this form? And we haven't found that part. And that has more to do with, like, some of our sites have store pages. They have external charge.wis.edu pages, and they want to be able to forward the information that's filled in on the gravity form once the submit is hit, and it then
Creates an email with that
the
info.
confirmation sends you to X page. They want that page to now be populated with the things that they did here. We haven't found the way to make that, mainly because it takes them out of the site there as well. So there's a little bit of dancing that has to happen there.
Or something like that instead.
I don't know. We haven't looked at it, so the answer is I don't know, because it hasn't been something that we've actually used.
Yeah, and I've done, like a social media form where it's asking people, do you want something on a Facebook page, or Twitter thing, do you want it on our clinic TVs, news item, and it gets shot to whoever. The problem is getting people to use the form.
Yeah.
Versus just
Oh, I'm
emailing
aware of
me,
that,
hey,
yeah.
can you put this on our Facebook page? Well, great, but there's, we're asking for links, we're asking for tags,
Yeah.
pictures.
There's a process. You're not following that process.
Here's the KB link.
So then I forward the email to the person doing the Facebook thing, and I copy them and say, hey, can you work with this person on more details? Because
Yeah.
we
I don't
want a
have
fully
them.
fleshed out idea. We don't want, hey, can we post this? Well, yeah, we could, but what does it mean? And what is the?
You use 3 acronyms I've never heard before, so
Right, exactly. Well, what does this
that's
mean?
always my thing. I don't
I
know
shouldn't
what
have
the
to hunt around.
CFP is. So what's that thing?
Call for proposals, obviously. Or not. Let's say Google again. Alright, so the refer question is, there certainly is a bit of code that would do it, and it looks like there's also a refer merge tag. I don't know what a merge tag is, so.
There are some merge
That would be
tags that exist
required.
within forms themselves.
What is the merge tag called?
Refer. And it's spelled wrong, because that's how it actually is spelled wrong. REFE. supposed to be.
Yar.
Let me look.
Well, we'll put it in the hopper and take a look at that there. Just because we're getting to
In
the
the
end of
hopper.
in the hopper.
Yeah, because that's a
We
really
have-
good point.
we have a
especially
mighty hopper.
for
We do.
404 page handling, for example, because when you land on the 404 page, it says, like he typed in Matt, I think, or something.
Yep.
Like it says Matt on the end. Like he thought Matt was a real page. Sorry, Matt, you're not in the room now.
I'm not.
There is
Kelly?
a merge tag.
Get on
Never.
Kelly, we've known each other for a while now. Why don't I have my
Good
own?
thing, good
I've
thing
helped
for
you
an
build these
open
forms.
lab.
Or community of practice and see if other people use it.
Yeah.
I should start going to those.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it's interesting because we don't think of these things, so we don't have those needs. A lot of our site is built on our needs.
Yeah.
So we don't ever think of that kind of stuff. So those kind of questions coming up help us.
Let's extrapolate that for a second. It would be useful for us to have refer if we had a link inside of everybody's admin area and they're like, WiscWeb team, help me, because then it would have the information about where you were.
Oh yeah. Oh
No,
yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
You have
Jenna
the same
and I's
admin, like, you don't
favorite.
have to fill out
My
that.
site's not working.
Cool, which one?
What site?
yeah.
This page isn't working. Cool.
I mean,
What
we know
page?
some of you by sight, but a lot
Yes,
of you
we-
stuff.
we have a lot of
Or
new-
you have
yeah.
multiple sites.
We have a lot of
We
new
need to
people
do
who,
to make
yeah.
our lives less help. Like,
a lot of new people who we aren't on like first name basis with.
This is why we have forms.
This is
exactly what
this
it
is why we have the knowledge base.
That's a 3 email exchange where I'm just getting this
Oh, yeah.
basic information.
I guess so. We'll close up shop here. I wanted to point out one last thing because it was a change, and I don't remember when we put the change in, but one of our plugins that is in our system by default, we have turned off by default to all of your sites, which is the events calendar. For those of you who are who were using events calendar, you saw no change. We left it on for you. But for any new sites that are coming through WiscWeb, as well as any sites that weren't previously using events calendar, we turned it off for everyone. And this is part of this whole process of performance, is trying to make things not load if you don't actually need it to load within your site. So for those of you who have been using events calendar, you're fine. But for those of you who are interested in using it, you have to contact us and we have to turn it on for you. So similar to the publications plugin, similar to like the social media share plugin, it's there. We just need to turn it on for you rather than having it be on by default. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. So again, for those of you who are using it, it's fine. If you had been using it, you're good to go. If you weren't using it, you won't see the events option on the left side anymore. You'd have to request the plugin be turned on by us on the team. So I just wanted to point that out because that was a change, and I don't know that we made a big. We sent out some emails, but I don't know if many people really comprehended what all that was happening. Because for those of you who were using it, nothing changed. So you're like, cool, it's there still. Yeah. So again, it's not there by default anymore. It is now a requested plugin
Also,
for us.
worth noting is we're probably going to end up doing that with Gravity Forms and WP data tables as well.
Oh, data tables.
So similar thing, turn it off for people that aren't using it.
Yep.
Have it, you'll notice no change.
Yeah.
And then eventually we wanted to get it to the point where you could self-service those things.
Mhm.
So with a select list of plugins like those ones, you'd be able to go in and manage that on your own site-wide level.
Yep.
The only concern that we have with it right now is like for, what was the one that we turned off?
Events calendar.
Events calendar. There's like 2 plugins that need to be active for
Yep.
that to technically work.
And there's a third step actually that needs to occur. Once we
Yeah.
turn on events calendar, we have to run a process to reset your permalinks. And that is not something that admins can do
Yeah.
to their own sites. So there's a little bit of logistics. So like when I turn it on for folks, I have to do 3 steps. I have to turn on events calendar, I have to turn on events calendar pro, and then I have to go reset the permalinks. So
Has there been any more discussion or traction about the geolocation stuff with Google events and
Nope.
blah, blah, blah,
Nah.
purchasing card?
we kind of just put that to bed.
Kill it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since we're not going to use it, and
I
quite
just
frank,
keep getting errors on all of my locations now.
Oh, You
'Cause
can
it says
turn,
pay
you
you.
can turn that off.
Yeah.
You don't have a geolocation, well, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, because
There's a way to turn it off in the settings.
Yeah, so let's pop in real quick. Real quick.
Sure, the page stuff around.
Now is when it will start to go slow.
It's because you're streaming.
And all, turning on these plugins is all performance related?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
the
it's
tables
all
plugin load,
it's
you have
all
to go to the
assumption
table.
Yep.
of performance related. We're at one point we had one plugin that we got rid of, which was our domain mapping plugin. It was literally loading things that didn't matter at all to you guys. It was loading things. So we just sort of took that as an initiative to say, look, if you don't need the plugin on your site, you don't need the plugin on your site. If you want it, okay, we'll turn it on. We actually don't know if any of them affect performance to a great deal, because a lot of things get cached in there anyway. But we just kind of go on the side of caution there and just say, look, if we look at new plugins and it's a plugin that we want people to use, we'll turn it on system wide. But if it's not something that everybody needs and it's only for people who really want to use them, we'll turn it on for you when you want. So, but yeah,
Plugins in general do affect performance, though.
Yeah.
It's just hard to gauge
It's hard-
exactly
yeah,
how
it's- yeah.
much.
And so I would let you know to turn off something like publications on my website.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
We can do that.
I don't have publications in there.
Oh, and the main limnology site?
Uh-huh. I have a page
Did you fill out
using
the
it,
form?
should I delete that? What's that?
Did you fill out the form?
I had to look at
Plug in
KD.
deactivation form.
so there's
That's what I do
under
right now.
under events and settings, there is a map section. You can enable maps or disable maps. You can turn them off if you want to. I don't know
So
why.
turning it off, does that?
Should get rid
really-
of the geolocation thing.
But
Which
that
is
gives,
like
that
harder
gets,
than that.
right, does that give you the option, does that just turn off the picture? Or does that turn off the address link click that goes to
Ooh,
Google?
good question. I have to look at
'Cause
that.
I only wanna turn off the picture.
Yeah.
because I still want the map to our
Yeah.
location where the event's happening.
Yeah, let me poke at that a little bit and then, because I'll tinker around with that in my training site.
Is the geolocation issue due to like a API key thing?
I think so,
Is that the Google one?
It's that Google API nonsense that happened last year
Yeah.
or 2 years ago. Can't remember now.
I think
it was
now
two.
it's
What's
Put a
happening
link to
with
the
Pokemon Go?
WiscMap.
Huh?
Yeah,
Pokemon Go.
just because they were like,
Except we have outreach all over the
Ruining
state.
Google
so it's
Maps'
like, oh, this-
API.
this
Yeah, we have
building in Wanakee. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, wow.
we have a few sites that are like that. Like housing is also another one where they want to show the various locations here on campus. Wiseman has a number of different centers that exist, and they want to use that kind of type of stuff as well. So the geolocation part of it is just, honestly, it was Pokemon Go that broke Google.
Which
That's-
is hilarious.
It was, because Pokemon Go was using the Google API and
Wow.
for free, basically.
This is why we can't have nice
This is
things.
why we can't have nice things,
Ruining
Pokemon.
it for everyone else.
So, all right, it is 1:02. We will end the brown bag there. Again, I'll be sending out another message on Monday just to let everybody know about the turning off of Enhanced Media Library Pro, and then we'll kind of go from there moving forward. So, thank you all.
Thanks.
Bidet.
Jenna, do you need me to do something?
no,